Lewis to a supplement provider through some reporting that the NFL has asked Hugh Jackson, the former coach here, to not associate himself with it anymore part because of league policy and part because of some belief that the supplement might contain human growth hormone. What is the team's policy on players taking supplements from they require from outside the organization? And do you anticipate you'll have a conversation with Ray about this issue?
I'll go first. Number one, I think we probably, in professional sports, have the best testing of all the four major sports. Our testing for performance enhancers go year-round. They're random. And so if it's anything that any of our players are taking, then they would be found out about because they would test positive for it, and there would be a suspension. So that being said, if there's a product that he's taking and he's passing the test, then I can't explain that one. That's up to, our league and the testing that we go through. Now, Ray is one person that I think of the four of us that we all can talk to, and he'll explain any and everything to us about what he's doing, why he's doing it. So if need be, we'll have that conversation. But I trust, and I know, because 5 times a week I walk in this building and people are here to test our guys, that nobody's getting away with anything.
I guess the only thing I would follow up with that is that human growth hormone can't be tested for because it requires a blood test, because the NFL has tried to negotiate with the labor unions about that, and they've consistently said no. So that would only be my only rebuttal in that, is that human growth hormone cannot be tested for, which is what this issue is allegedly about. It's not my report, so I'm not
I read the report, but we haven't had a chance to really follow up and see what's behind it. I mean, I did see the newspaper story, so we'll obviously look into it. But we don't. It's really hard to comment when we haven't really talked to Ray, and really don't know the facts yet.
Does the team have any policy out the supplement providers outside of the players? Do you ask them to get them over?
There's a league-wide policy.
It's a league-wide policy.
Ozzie, with the change in the defensive coordinator, a lot of talk about the ability to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Were you satisfied with what happened this season? Do you feel as though it's a personnel or a scheme thing to try to get more pressure?
Well, I think I read today, and I'm not a bigger stat guy as my boss is, but this was the least amount of sacks that we've had, and yet it was probably one of the most productive years that Suggs had. So that one caught me off guard a little bit. But I see pressure is the quarterback getting the ball out of his hand, is the quarterback getting hit. Those errant passes that are thrown into the secondary that it ends up intercepting and taking back, or whatever he does with it once he gets it. Yeah, that's pressure to me. Pressure all the time don't mean that you're getting sacks. It's how you're affecting the quarterback. And I thought we did a good job affecting the quarterback this year. Now, going forward, are we going to continue to try to bring in some other people that can get to the passer, having Suggs to have a companion to go along with him, as we did with Peter and Suggs? That will be very helpful for the organization, and that's something that we'll look into as we move forward.
Just as far as scheme-wise, were you satisfied with the scheme to get towards?
Schemes. John and he probably gets tired of me because that's what I do. I watch his tape all the time. I enjoy that aspect of the game. Scheme-wise is Suggs at some point got to beat Joe Thomas. He's got to beat Whitlock. He's got to beat Max Starks or Trey Essex. At some point, all the schemes in the world, at some point, one guy's got to beat the other guy. That's what it comes down to. And if we get enough good players, well, when we go up against whoever we play in our division and they can get in a one-on-one situation and win, we'll have more pressure.
And
This for Dick and Steve. You mentioned you have plans for ticket money being refunded and so forth in case of a lockout. Steve, you brought up you had 140 other employees. read around the league that a lot of franchises are talking about doing layoffs, or that the coaches are leaving pros to go to college because some of their contracts that are being offered are only going to be partial if they don't play. How are the Ravens handling that whole situation?
We're not laying anybody off. We made that decision a long time ago. We announced it to all of our employees. So we're not laying off our employees. On the coaching side, we discussed this issue with the coaches a year ago now, entered into contracts for this current upcoming season, the 2011 season. And we have provisions in the contract that in the event of a work stoppage, they might receive a pay reduction depending on how many games we play during the regular season. So there might be there's initial pay reduction. They can earn it all back if we have a full season. And that's how we're going to address it.
Brian?
Coach, in the event if there is a work stoppage, how would this team be affected by not potentially having OTAs, not having guys like a Terrence Cody or whatnot in for the off-season workouts? And Ozzie, if you can answer, there's so many unrestricted free agents on this team. How confident are you that even if there's a work stoppage that you could re-sign a lot of those guys?
Well, I think John and I'm going to address the first part a little bit and then let him finish. I think the group that could get hurt the most by the work stoppage is last year's draft class on all 32 teams, because this is where they get the opportunity, would have had the opportunity to start from March to go all the way to game one, to work with coaches, work with strength coaches, and get themselves better and become better football players. So that draft class could not be as good as it potentially could be if there's a work stoppage. You're saying we got 17 unrestricted free agents? Based on the 2010 rules, we don't have that many. And we're still working under the 2010 rules. And up until that change, I think maybe we got 6, maybe UFAs that we'll be dealing with going forward.
As far as the way it affects us the same way as it affects every other team. So, the challenge for us is to put some plans in place to be better than the other 31 teams, or to try to, and come out ahead when we start playing games and be the best team we can be. And as coaches and across the board, we're going to try to find a way to do that. But it'll be challenging because it'll be different.
Steve, I know you said you weren't on the committee, but if they handed you a blank sheet of paper and said you decide on one point that the owners could win on, what would it be?
They wouldn't be that foolish to give me that. I'd take all the money and then I'd concede everything else. It's just too broad. Obviously, like I said, the revenue split is not working for the owners, and that would be the major thing that would cure all the other ills. No doubt about it.
And because the schmuck stops here, Peter will have the last question.
This is a question for Ozzie and John. We're going back to Flacco for the last question. Ozzie, are we at a point with Joe Flacco, he's 3 years in, where going into next year, from your point of view, I know everybody's a work in progress, where being a young quarterback is no longer part of the rationalization?
Well, to answer that question, I think when we were at the Senior Bowl, Cam talked, Joe had played 47 games. Now you add another 21 to that, is whatever that math is. Another 4 seasons, so 4 other preseason games and 2 other playoff games would add to that 47, whatever that number is. 37 was the number? It was 37, okay. No, he's not a young quarterback, man. He is in his 3rd year. And you know what? He's not performing like a first-year quarterback, in my estimation. He's not performing like a first-year quarterback. And you know what I have been able to see over the past 3 years is a guy that can make all the throws, a guy that has poise, a guy that has command of his offense, but also a guy that can be inconsistent, not get it done at times. And it's upon all of us to take him to the next level, to take him, and what that next level is, I don't know. But he's got to be a better quarterback, in 2011 than he was in 2010. And I think that's all I would ask him. Be better than you were last year. And I think Joe will be willing to do that.
I agree with that. I think that's spot on.
Is that it?
Yes.
Closing, really for the fans. We do this for a living, you do that for a living, and they support us. And I know the vitriol is tough for us to take, but we hear you, and most of your complaints are valid and legitimate. And maybe the Saints didn't have a lot after they won last year. It's like you just hope that things hold on. You hope you make mistakes at the least important times. And I just want the fans to know that though we don't give you 100% result, we do give you 100% effort. And I'm proud of these guys, but you're not wrong. I came home from Atlanta from the NFL meetings, and I got on the internet, and it took me about a half an hour to read what you all were saying and what the fans were agreeing with you about. And I don't have much argument. There's a lot of things that you all are pretty accurate when it comes to assessing the team, and so are our fans. They're committed, they're knowledgeable, and right now they're really frustrated. But we're trying to put a good product on the field for you, and it requires all the employees here that give their heart and soul to it. Like I said, I read for a half an hour, and this is what I came up with your recommendations. Re-sign Nada, Bolger, Wilson, Cook, Cundiff, McLean, Yonda, Carr, and TJ. Change the offense. Sign or draft a big left tackle and fast wide receivers, and a big shutdown corner and a dominant edge rusher. Get faster players, get smarter players, get more veterans, but get younger. Fire Ozzie, Cam, Madison, and Flacco. And don't be a tool, Bisciotti, or Biscotti as they said. Get a deal done with the union. And finally, don't be a meddlesome owner. I promise you we'll get as many of those things done in the off season as we can. That's it.